The biggest story in world football right now is the imminent decision on the 115 charges against Manchester City by the Premier League. It could go down as one of the most historic things ever to happen in the game. Of course, the Premier League, just mega money league. I would say show, because it is like a show. Obviously, it's a sports league, but it's absolute box office to anyone who's interested in football around the whole world. Of course, Manchester City have been a dominant force in the Premier League now for a long time, since Abu Dhabi came in and took over. And yes, we've spoken recently here on the channel, reflected on the charges, of course, the stuff with UEFA, Der Spiegel, this, that, and the other, the leaked emails. And the Premier League have long been doing this investigation. We've heard, I've reflected on the stories of this decision could be coming out at any moment now. Stefan Borson, the Man City fan who used to work for Manchester City, spoken yet again on the 115 charges. We're going to reflect a little bit on an article today from Football Insider and talk about that here. He does frustrate me, Stefan Borson. You find him a little bit annoying just as a rival football fan. But I do want to get into it, and a big highlighted factor is how poorly this has been handled. Now, I think we can see this across the whole entirety of the Premier League and its workings. Like, of course, the biggest and best league in the world. So much stuff criticised with it still. Of course, decisions, VAR, quality of referee, scheduling, just generally how they deal with all sorts of stuff, essentially, and how it's not been optimised in many ways. Of course, like I said, the refereeing and stuff, but even technology. You look at the cameras and stuff they use in La Liga. It was still not got semi-automated offsides. Dealing with, their own rules, PSR rules, constantly changing that. Owners and directors tests, of course, ever since Newcastle were bought by the Saudis, loads of people, publications, analysts have come out and said they shouldn't have passed the owners and directors tests. It's a bit of a mess, the Premier League, top to bottom, in some aspects. And considering it's the biggest spectacle in the world, I was saying sports, but maybe just in the world generally, the Premier League football, it's run pretty poorly in many ways. And like I said, they struggled to keep their house in order in terms of putting in rules and punishments. Of course, Leicester City, Everton, Nottingham Forest, all good examples. I know Leicester were technically under the Football League jurisdiction at the time, but nothing, absolutely nothing inspires confidence when it comes to the Premier League with all this kind of stuff. Games of football, great fun. Of course, that's the most important thing. I'm going to read you some of this article. Let's mosey on down. Manchester City, of course, are still waiting to hear the verdict in their legal battle with the Premier League after being handed 115 charges more than 2 years ago. And by the way, of course, we've heard, this is me speaking, conflicting reports. Is it 115 charges? Is it 131 charges? Of course, people got confused with the associated party transaction stuff. The other court case, which was actually Man City taking the Premier League to court, and everyone got confused and thought that was the 115, but it wasn't. An independent commission hearing into the case started in September last year and has ended in December, with the panel now considering its verdict. Waiting. The Premier League are accused of the Premier League champions, should I say, are accused of breaching the financial fair play rules over a 9-year period, nearly a decade, guys. And of course, concealing payments through third parties by disguising them as sponsorship revenue, which is interesting because that is kind of the associated party transaction stuff. So people are wondering, Man City suing the Premier League for that in hope that it helps defend them with their 115 charges. And that remains to be seen. Former Man City financial advisor Stefan Borson, and Man City fan, exclusively told Football Insider the two parties should have provided a published timetable when the decision would be revealed. Yeah, this is not an exclusive from Borson. This is, yes, it's an absolute sugar show from the Premier League, and they've completely botched this up. They're really poor timeline. Bearing in mind, they're coming up against this ownership group that have been very aggressive and said, they wanted to bury them in financial legal fees. They are not cooperative whatsoever. Of course, the last video I did a couple of days ago on Man City, we spoke about how UEFA, one of their main gripes with Man City when they were doing their investigation into them and attempted to ban City from their own competition, the Champions League, for 2 years, but got thrown out by CAS because of the emails being leaked or whatever. One of their main contentions was they just weren't cooperative at all. They wouldn't open the books. Again, to reiterate, I support Chelsea. My club went to UEFA recently, the new ownership, and opened the books and says, look, we found these financial irregularities under Roman Abramovich, the previous owners, and UEFA went, thank you for showing us, here's a small fine, consider it dealt with. They really want that cooperation, of course, which Man City have not been offering. Borson previously told Football Insider Man City could face a second hearing if they are found guilty of any charges. So yeah, again, this kind of goes against the story that I reacted to a couple of days ago that suggested if Man City get a a points deduction that they can stomach, they will just perhaps take it. So say, say if they don't qualify but say that, no, it's not even about qualifying for the Champions League, is it? It's saying next season, if they get into the Europa League or Champions League, they will back themselves to win that next season to qualify for the following season's Champions League, and they could eat a points penalty next season and just be like, whatever. Even like a 40 points one, like they could finish on 40 points, 45 points, not get relegated. They could win the FA Cup, they could win the League Cup, they could win the Europa League or Champions League and qualify for the next Champions League, and it would be like ain't no thing. And then this whole matter would be over. They'd probably take that. This is me speculating, and if you haven't watched it, that's an article that I reacted to a couple of days ago. Do seek out that video. The Manchester Giants lawyers are expected to appeal against any potential punishment, which this is contradicting what that previous article was suggesting. After the club have been adamant they've done nothing wrong, and done anything wrong since the charges were handed out, of course, in February 2023. Yes, to their credit, they have. Well, to their credit, to highlight, they've been very, very firm on absolutely refuting everything early doors. That was their, aggressive response. They were like, no, we've done nothing wrong. Again, look, from the outside, from obviously the Der Spiegel stuff with the leaked emails and all this kind of stuff, there is, and Tebas, the head of La Liga, has got a law case against Manchester City. It does seem like, again, speculatively, there's been some wrongdoing along the way. Okay, so the league has been blasted. The Premier League blasted for the way they've handled everything. And I have to say, I do agree the whole thing's been peculiar. So Borson did say this: I do think the Premier League and City to an extent could have done a better job. I think this could have been agreed with all parties. I've said it right from the start. There should have been a published timetable, at least with estimates as to when we can expect the hearing itself, the decision to come out, the next phase, and the explanation. Absolutely agree with this person. For such a massive story and uncertainty. And remember, so many clubs have got sort of skin in this game. People rightly commented on the other video I've done and spoken about before that if they are found guilty, the ramifications could be gargantuan, not just for Man City, but for clubs that lost against Manchester City in that time, that got relegated, that cost them hundreds of millions of pounds. They will be like, actually, we got done because we got beat twice in the league by this team that was cheating. That's not an honest reflection of competition. We want to sue ourselves. So the ramifications could be absolutely gargantuan. He says he reckons this could have, Borson says, he reckons this could have been agreed with all parties. At the moment, we've got a situation where it might happen at any point, something that's very significant, not just to the future of football, but to the future of Man City employees, because you think that lots of this stuff goes against City. There will also be adjustments to the City's cost base, which we know. Yeah, I mean, that's the vibe in Manchester at the moment with Ineos and Manchester United laying everyone off as well. I don't think it's been well handled in that respect. I don't think there was a particular problem in giving a little bit more guidance. But yeah, I just think it's incompetence. I think it's an unprecedented situation that, like I said at the top of the video, this league, the institution of the Premier League doesn't offer much inspiration, does it, in terms of how it navigates these things. So I just think it's straight up incompetence, personally. But yes, they should have tried to do something. We sit here today thinking this week it could have been possible time to release it. This week obviously ends today, Sunday, time of recording. Next week could be possible time to release it. But equally, it's perfectly plausible that this doesn't come out till the summer or even later. It is ridiculous. And of course, I said last time I did a video on this, we need to think of the Man City fans who have just perhaps supported Man City for years. They are third generation Man City fans. They're getting left in the lurch as well, but no one, it's really, really poorly handled, and it's just really dumb, basically. He says, Borson goes on to say, I can tell you from a lot of conversations I've had over the last week, nobody knows, this is a very well-kept secret, and nobody's got any indication of what's definitively coming. So this is obviously a response from Borson to that guy saying, I've got trusted sources basically saying Man City are going to have a points deduction. So he's coming out and saying, no. I mean, I find it like very, very difficult to accept that no one, obviously people know something, because people somewhere know something, right? I mean, even if it's just the people that the panel are going to make the decision, they've got an inkling of what's happening. I mean, it's like a drama series. I don't want to make any insinuation. Okay, I'm going to assume everything is neutral and above board, and the incredible financial might of Manchester City's ownership has not somehow seeped its way into the process. I'm not suggesting it would have done. I'm just hoping it will not. I mean, these things get... If this was Manchester United, it would have been leaked months ago. That's probably the one good thing, how there's been no insinuation leak. Maybe that's the one good thing about this legal... I say it's not even Premier League, because it's like a third-party legal stuff, so you can't really praise the Premier League for that. You can only really criticise the Premier League for making the process so drawn out and messy and not giving football, as a football fandom on planet Earth, an indication of what the ruddy heck is going on. He says that's not to say it won't come out today. I think this article came out yesterday or today, or it may come today, but if it's coming today, but it's not because there's 2 or 3 people in the media close to the club that say have heard it's really close, it will just drop. Okay, right. It doesn't feel like the best way of doing things at the Premier League's and City perspective, but that's the process we have. Yeah, I mean, it is unprecedented. We've seen nothing like it before, but my word, it's been messy AF. I mean, I'm really, really interested, to be honest, to see what happens. Obviously, it's been so long now, and because of after the UEFA stuff and the Der Spiegel, a lot of opposition fans, they want blood. Opposition clubs, they want blood. Of course, there's Tebas of La Liga, who's often very, very vocal. He wants justice against Man City owners. I'm just so intrigued to see what happens. I mean... Is there a chance it just gets completely wiped away and Man City just ride off into the sunset and keep spending? Is there a chance that Man City get cleared and counter-sue the Premier League? I mean, that is a possibility as well. We'll have to see what happens there. I'm going to follow the story closely. I try and follow all the big stories closely here on Football Yannick. Please do keep it locked. Thank you for supporting my content. You can do so by liking and subscribing. Thank you for commenting. And enjoy the football if you can. Peace.